get to go by and see the, I don't know if it's still there.
First of all, I want to say thank y'all for coming out tonight. This is your time, rising Fawn citizens, to voice any concerns that you may have for the Sheriff's Office. I'm Sheriff Patrick Cannon. This is our Chairman, Ted Rowland. Commissioner Robert Goff is the Commissioner of this district. Peter Smell is here to answer questions as well. To my right up here is Danny Ellis, Major of the Sheriff's Office. And this is kind of just an informal meeting, town hall meeting. It's your time. It's a beautiful day outside. I know there's other things that you want to be doing tonight other than coming to a meeting, but we want to hear from you. If there's any concerns you may have for the Sheriff's Office, the County Commission, the Road Department, Billy and I missed you, Billy Maskill, the County Road Department's here. Just feel free to ask questions.
I'll start.
Okay.
I'm overlooking 5 letters, and asking how I'm going to give a cover something late about. And I'm not seeing any troopers or cars around. Sometimes it'd be nice to know that, watch out for those women.
Absolutely.
And even in the other areas, they can pull them around behind the house with the right way or something like that.
Right.
Just do that.
Right.
I'm not afraid, but somebody else might do it.
Where's that at? Overlook.
I'll get with you before you get going, and I'll make sure that's there.
And that's one of the things we have available is, extra patrol upon your request. Of course, we don't want to be pulling up shining lights in somebody's house that we don't know that's there. If they're there in the middle of the night and we shine a light in their bedroom, they might be able to leave. So, yeah, we'll be more than glad to extra patrol for you.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I keep reading what you put in the paper about community involvement.
Right.
I think that's important, and I agree, I think it is too. But there's never anything in the paper about any burglaries or any thefts.
Right.
I think it would be helpful for the citizens if they knew that burglars was operating in their neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Makes them more cautious, and they may have seen anything.
Absolutely.
But there's never one word about burglary or theft in the paper. Can you put something in there weekly, every burglary, every theft?
Absolutely.
A short paragraph?
And I appreciate you. I appreciate that. But there has been, when we do have burglaries in certain areas, I've talked with both of the media resources, and they're here tonight. I've spoken to, 3, 9, and 12. We put it out there. When there's a burglary, we've had 5 in the Rising Fawn area. I checked today, just to make sure my numbers were correct. And, not everybody got their stuff back, but there was quite a few of them that did.
Since when? What kind of time is that?
Well, I'm talking about in the, during the time frame of October to December was our bad time. But looking in the past, from 2008 to 2009 to 2010, our numbers were higher in July and August. And so we did have a year between October, and our numbers was up also from thefts and tornadoes and stuff like that. So, but we had 16 burglaries between the months of October to December. But to answer your question, absolutely.
What's the difference between a burglary and a theft?
Do what now?
What's the difference between a burglary and a theft?
Well, you know that. You're going to try.
No, your definition.
My definition of a burglary and theft is, it depends on what it is. Burglary is breaking into something like, and of course the state now is trying to determine or put a law on residential burglaries and outbuildings to where it's degrees.
The reason I asked that question, you spoke specifically to burglaries.
Right.
Burglaries and thefts.
Right.
But what I would like to say, it has to be done in a timely manner. It can't be 2, 3, 4 weeks old. So every Monday, the newspapers, the media output, just a short paragraph, the address, the approximate time, and the general description of what was stolen.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen people trying to pawn fishing equipment around, and I've read the paper that stolen out of the residents, my neighbors get burglarized, and I don't know that, but it's all county stuff.
Absolutely.
So you're going to start doing that?
Absolutely. And see, I'm glad you brought that up because it's a good time. On our 2012 goals, we got a new computer system going in. It's really going to help us. We have also a call service that's going to help out seasoned citizens, and what it does is it calls and checks on them twice a day. And on our computer system, we can put in things, you know, the school cast, they have a school cast that goes out and says when school closes, bad weather, whatever the reason may be, it tells you if your kid's tardy, it tells you if, you know, anything about your student at school or whatever. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to be able to put the information into the communities where we need it. Like we had a case in Westboro. The day after we spoke up there, and there was a case where a gentleman went in, a guy went in and broke into this lady's house, and she walked in. Well, he took off out the window. So if we can put this out more, it'll benefit us. But in, you know, the dollar figures, you know, if budgets and things like that come into it, and we are now where we can, you know, do these things. Technology's great.
Well, the reason I asked the question why it did burglary and theft, because, you know, if they don't enter a house and they take the lawnmower out of the yard, it's just important them people get that back.
Well, absolutely.
And not just reporting burglary,
Absolutely.
burglaries and thefts.
Well, we just got through chasing one through the woods just a few minutes ago, and on the north end, he stole some scrap iron from Nash Phillips's dad, his deputy cars, and you know, we got out there and tracked him down. We still have one on the loose, and he's gone to Chattanooga. We do know that for a fact. You know,
What's the difference in jail time, whether it's burglary or theft?
It depends on the dollar figure, okay? And whether it's misdemeanor theft or felony theft.
So if it's misdemeanor theft,
And our district attorney's over here, Buzz Brown. Did you do what now?
I said if it's a misdemeanor, what happens?
Well, it just depends what the judge says and how the district attorneys approach it in prosecuting the case.
Well, I don't know about everybody else in this room, but I'm sick of seeing people get away with stuff and slap them on the wrist, and then next time you turn around, they're back in court.
That's not the sheriff's office.
Well, no, it's not, but at the same time, I'm just trying to figure out here what the difference is in how to treat it. Does that make sense?
Well, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do. And you know, it doesn't matter to me, like Paul said, it doesn't matter to me if it's a $10 bicycle or a $500 lawnmower. It's still the same. I mean, somebody stealing from you is still the same. So, I mean, I'm just like y'all, okay? I feel the same way. But all we can do is put them in jail. And that's it. That's where we stop. Yes, ma'am.
Going back to Ms. Levin's question, what is the sheriff's department doing to support our neighborhood watch program? I know 4 years ago we had a really good group of volunteers, and we had some training here from your department, and now, you know, I'm not even sure where the neighborhood watch car is, or what the status of the program is, or what the sheriff's department is doing to promote our neighborhood watch. And with all these burglaries, you know, we'd like to hear from the sheriff what is going on with neighborhood watch program.
Well, I'm glad you said that, and that's a good question. The neighborhood watch program, as I explained when y'all come down here, we come down here and train and everything, it's only as good as the community sport. It takes volunteers. To come in here and work the program. And, you know, we came in here, we trained on what to do, but it was up to the community center and the community to support it. The county doesn't support it. And we came down here and did all the training. Y'all voted in the representatives for the neighborhood watch, your leaders and things like that. So what you need to do, and there was another concern, like in Westboro, we are available, okay? We'll come do any training you want. However, it takes people to be here to train. So what I would do is I would have a community meeting and to have it. But what we're doing now in 2012 is we're having a community police academy. And so hopefully Doug Powell's going to be the instructor on it, and hopefully after we have the community academy, police academy, that there'll be some extra eyes and ears out here. The number one thing is it's not a patrol car ride around. It's not, a neighborhood watch car ride around. It's know your neighbor. Be a good neighbor, know your neighbors, and have phone tree. You know, if you see somebody's with a suspicious vehicle in their yard, dial 911, call your neighbor, see if anybody's supposed to be there. If you're going out of town and you trust your neighbor, you need to tell them that you're going out of town. Call the sheriff's office. We'll put you on vacation leaves. Did I answer your question?
Hey, it's not the neighborhood watch down here. It's you.
Okay.
We called these people, what did they get?
I do not send it to anybody. I don't set a bond. So let me correct you on that, okay?
Yeah, correct me on this.
It's not
I'm
me.
wasting my time, turning these people in, y'all slapping them on the back, and it never comes to trial or nothing.
Okay. When did
You're the one that messed our neighborhood watch up down here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So you're wrong there.
No, I'm not.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm not.
Yes, sir, you are.
You may feel like it, but I'm not.
You know,
People
Sheriff, in reality, follow up kind of on what this young lady said and what Bozo said. I mean, some of it is up to your office. If there's not the proper procedures followed and evidence is not gathered and evidence is not turned in, or, you know.
Stop you. And I appreciate you coming to all these meetings, okay? And it's clear to me, okay, that you're trying to make it political. This is not political.
Well,
This
it's
is
not political.
Please let me finish.
Your
This is
office
not
being
political.
able to gather the right information
Let me finish.
and turn in the right information or evidence.
You have no proof of that. See, every time we go to one of these community meetings, so listen, folks, this is for the rising Fawn community, okay? Mr. Howell, you've been at every one of these meetings, and that's great, but you try to make a political debate out of it, okay?
It's not a political debate, it's a fact. If your office doesn't gather
You have
evidence, then there's not going to be any
Sir,
trial or
have
any
you looked at any of
prosecution.
the evidence that we have on any of our cases? Absolutely not. You
No.
went off of hearsay and rumors. You know, the sad
Well,
part
no.
about election season is, Mr. Howell,
When-
is that
When you turn and say that that's not my office,
Let me
that's the
finish, Mr.
district
Howell.
attorney's office,
let me finish. Mr.
that's not completely true. It's not
Right.
just the district attorney, it's your office turning in
Yeah.
evidence and gathering evidence.
Let me finish, if you will, okay? This is not a political debate.
No, it's
Okay?
not.
You've made it clear on your position, okay? And that's great. That's
Everybody in here has probably made it clear on their positions and things, but
Right.
still,
But you, listen to me, every one of these meetings we go to, you take away from communities and citizens that are in here by trying to sell something or to try to be negative and different things like that.
What is negative about
Let me ask
your
the
office
citizens-
gathering
Let me ask
information
the
and
citizens
evidence?
questions, okay?
Yeah.
And then we'll meet outside, like we
You
do
know,
every one of these.
I
meetings.
guess you don't really know it, but
I
I went to the
invited
third
you.
grade right here in this building.
Right.
And I'm from Rising
That's
Farm.
right.
And my mom lives in Rising Farm.
That's correct.
So I've got just as much
Right.
right as anybody else in here, or you,
That's correct.
to ask questions in this building.
That's correct.
Since I'm from Rousing Phone, let me ask you a question. It seems like a real good time.
Absolutely.
All right. How long does it take, once your office gets evidence, to get it prosecuted, or to get it processed?
Well, it depends, see, it depends if you send it to the GBI. I mean, if
No,
you-
I'm talking
like-
about your office, not the GBI. I'm just saying, if it goes to your office,
Sure.
how long does it take?
But, okay, are we talking about a set of keys? Are we talking
No,
about?
no, we're talking about evidence.
Okay, but is it a bottle of water, a set of keys, fingerprints, what is it? Now, like on the incidents on, for burglary, for
It's
instance.
hard to win over three.
For burglary, okay?
On that.
We have fingerprints, they're submitted to the GBI.
What's the process? How long does it take?
Well, it's up to them. It could take a month, it could take a week.
All
I mean, it's
right,
up to
let
them.
me ask you this.
Yes, ma'am.
If it's not the GBI and your office is the only one involved, how long does it take before it gets from your office to where it goes to be processed in Atlanta?
Well, if we don't have to process it to Atlanta, Atlanta's GBI. Got it?
They don't do
What you're
anything
talking-
but GBI? So your office does the rest?
Mary, I'm not trying to tell you, there's a lab down there, okay?
I know, I'm not completely stupid just because I'm from Rising Fawn area.
I'm trying to explain something to you.
And I'm listening, but you ain't making a whole lot of sense.
Okay. There is a GBI crime lab that we take.
Evidence in Atlanta.
That's right. And when we check it in, they call us when it's ready. Okay?
How quick are you getting it there?
How quick are we getting it as soon as we get evidence?
That's not what I heard.
You run off rumors, Mary.
No, you're not right.
I mean, you know,
Okay, Buzz,
if I had a problem with
Can I
a
ask you
case
a
or
question?
something that I work, you know,
do you have evidence that has sat at Patrick's office for more than a week or even 2 weeks that hadn't been sent, that should have been sent, that's holding up cases?
We cover 4 counties, so I can't speak directly to how long some evidence may sit before it gets into the crime lab. I can't tell you that standing right here today. But I can tell you it does take a while to process what it does get to Atlanta with the budget cuts. It does take a while. Talking about DNA, you're talking 6 months before you can ever get a result back if you're lucky. Fingerprints take a while.
So our county doesn't do anything with fingerprints, it has to go to GBI?
Right, all that type of scientific analysis takes place at the GBI lab.
So fingerprints are useless in the crime?
Oh, no, if you get fingerprints, that's a good thing if you, in certain circumstances. I mean, if you have a domestic violence situation that takes place at home, and the victim and the defendant both live in the house, I mean, their fingerprints are going to be all over the home anyway, so that's not going to make much difference. But if you have a burglary where you can get a fingerprint off a window that looks like where entry was made, you know, that's great evidence if you can get that.
If you can get it processed?
You can get it processed.
What if the person's never done anything before, there's no fingerprints on the record?
Well, that's another problem. Yeah, they have to be on file. Yeah, not everybody's fingerprints are on file. We have a lot of repeat business,
I know we do
so
get it, it's on my
we
file.
have a lot of them on file.
this man, you know.
Can I finish this?
I don't know if you
I didn't-
did or not.
I didn't mean to start arguing.
You gotta make it clear too, where you
I
stand.
didn't mean to start arguing. You know yourself. If you look back, what, 7 years, 3 or 4 months ago, you said that here, that basically the same thing. We have still got the same problem with that truck stop over there, and to my knowledge, you sent cars down here 2 times.
That's not true.
Well, I said to my knowledge. Now, it could have been 3, but I know of 2 times. And them trucks will still pull out there and block Hatfield Road and keep us sitting there, and 4 or 5 or 6 will pull out. But then they done 6 or 7 coming off the interstate, and we sit there, and they never stop at the stop sign. If I go out here and run a stop sign, you're gonna give me a ticket.
Well, they received a ticket also.
When?
When you-
7 years ago for 2 or 3 days?
They received it.
Don't tell me, I said 2 or 2 of you
I'm
cars.
not
sitting-
gonna argue with you
I
about
seen
that.
2 of you cars sitting right there across from that, over in close to number 11. Well, they sat there for 35 minutes talking to each other, and 6 or 7 trucks come out there and run the stop sign.
Did you call them?
It don't do no good to call you. Did you ever come down and take care of them dopers that lived in my trailer?
Sure did.
You never done no such thing. You never
How many
done.
times have we arrested people out of your trailer, Bozo?
Hey, when I told you about them people taking, y'all called, you wasn't even in office. I called 4 times. Finally, your major or sergeant or whoever it was said, "Bozo, can I hit you?" I said, "Looks like somebody's gonna have to."
Major?
He,
Did he talk to you?
I don't know if it's Major or Captain who it was. It was a Heartline fellow, what he did. Huh?
He's a captain.
Okay, he's the one that finally helped me. And he said, "Here, you call Ted Brumley." He was on the drug task force or something. He said. I told him. I said, "Ted, if you'll come down here, I'll go over there with you and I'll knock on the door, and when they ask us in, we'll walk in." He said, "Oh, I can't do that." He said, "I'll have to have a search warrant." And that, it was never took care of. 2 weeks later, I went over and cut the power and turned the water off, and they finally blew it. Now, don't tell me you handle that.
Anybody else?
Just one, about the stop sign on Hatfield. What number do we need to call? Because I've been stuck 8 tractor trailers letting 6 to 8 out of the truck stop. So what number do we need to call?
657-4111 or 911.
We can call 911 for being blocked in our
I
road.
mean, if there's a traffic problem, yeah, absolutely.
Well, but think about it, by the time the officer gets there, traffic gone. You don't think we're, 3 minutes in trucks
Well,
are gone.
and you have to think about it, if you sit, we cannot sit there all day long.
No,
We cannot.
but if you-
We go up there,
Drive a
we
ticket,
do.
they know we was gonna handle it.
We
Put
do.
somebody there all day, no, I'm not talking about.
Can't sit there all day, makes it hard across that other gas station, 35, 40.
But if you get a reputation for writing tickets, don't run that stop sign. You know,
Well,
even put a sign up out there in the parking lot.
It's the worst, like when we're going to work, where the truckers have slept and
Right.
left, or it's bad at dinner time when they're coming in to eat or stop and rest, and then we're blocked in.
Around what time in the morning?
When I go to work in the morning, well, when I take her to school, so
6:30 to
around
9:30.
7:30, 7:45, I'm stuck there.
6:30 to 9:30, you make enough money down there, pay your salary.
Anybody got?
I'll get back to the emergency thing. I don't know if I thought this was kind of be like what we can do to help each other, kind of give each other ideas. I don't know if anybody has thought about it, but if you see like a vehicle that you don't know, you're in behind them and can, it'd be nice to write down kind of their vehicle and tag number. I know I do that a lot because we've had one coming by our house several times. Just in case they did break in, you would at least have that to say, well, we might need to check these people out.
And that's good. I mean, if it's a suspicious person, absolutely.
Also, I know a lot of people I see does Facebook. Can you put the burglaries thing on the Facebook? You all have one?
We're working on that. We're waiting on our new computer system to get fixed up. Anybody else have any questions?
So that's what you need to say that.
Y'all think about it, I know you got some more questions.
Yeah, I'll still be here.
You're not going to.
How are you?
Appreciate all y'all coming, all of your familiar faces, people I know. And Robert, as I said, is our commissioner in this district, Dr. Goff. Of course, I live here. If you got any concerns, road concerns, any questions pertaining to the county, feel free to ask us anything while we're here tonight. We had a lot of questions, throughout the county about roads and reflectors and, just probably anything pertaining to government.
I have noticed this several times there from Eagles and CBS, you're supposed to go this way to the mountain, I had people buzz right by me and go instead of turning. There needs to be a sign that we have to turn right or nothing.
Well, we met with Jeff Mullis, about close to a month ago, and the DOT asked for fill out a court bill to handle that. They assured us that within 2 weeks, they were going to stripe it, and they were going to put, signs and all that. 2 weeks went by, I called them back, the guy's name's Harry Maddox. And Harry said, well, he turned it over to his other department, and it should happen, but it's not happening.
But somebody's gonna get hurt there.
What's wonderful, there's more little fender benders there than you think, because people that live here know that you've got to go over and around. But, people that are just traveling through, they don't. I mean, I would, if I was, really,
It looks as if they would see what they're supposed to do. That's
So anyway, I keep it on,
Wonder if one of those big, like, white arrows pointing, to the right or,
Well, what they're gonna do is they got this,
You know, the layout of the
right
road.
stuff that's got reflectors in it. And it's kinda like you're talking about, flexible. He drew a picture of it, and he said that they put it in different places, and they were gonna fix it where it would be real noticeable, even at night. Even though the lights are glowing, you can see it. But I'll call them tomorrow, get an update on it. It's like a lot of things in the state, I hate to say anything you don't really have about, but if you notice, even they're mowing and everything, even trees that fall now, they just come and throw brush over the side. Used to, they kept the state right away clean. I mean, really clean. And they took a little pride, but here in the last year or so, of course, they blame it on budgets. They blame it on but still, you still pay the tax. I mean, you can't, they only mow over the interstate now about once a year. Even Highway 11, and used to, you had more at least 3 or 4 times a year.
I have a question. I've seen in the paper, the commissioners are trying to make the case for a T-Splosh. And for those who don't understand what T-Splosh is, it's a transportation special purpose local option sales tax. It was passed through the legislature last year, and we were divided into districts in the state of Georgia, and we were in the Northwest Georgia district with several other counties. And the way this is going to work is in July, there's going to be a ballot referendum on whether or not we want to add another 1 cent on the dollar sales tax for transportation infrastructure. Now, this is 2 parts. One is, I'm not convinced this is a good deal because it makes us less competitive. Right now we have a slight advantage on sales tax over our surrounding counties. It makes us less competitive. And it's more money out of people's pockets when they go to buy something that they're not already spending. And you're only guaranteed to get back 25% of whatever they think they've collected from the county, and they can't tell you exactly what they've collected. Now, I know that they're cutting back on the road paving budgets, cut back LARP and things like this, but I am not sold on the fact that this is a good idea to add yet another tax with the economy the way it is.
A lot of people, whether it passes in Dade County or, it may not. For Dade County, like Ben says, you're not talking about a rollover 1 cent, you're talking about another penny, which would put our sales tax to 8 cents. I don't like taxes. I mean, that's any kind of taxes. But, and like Ben said, there's no way of knowing how much that we're going to get 25% of it. And we got a good prediction. That's the GDOT prediction. And of course, they won't keep their numbers up. They won't keep it up because they're getting the biggest part of this money.
Now, you know that the special projects that we put in for, and I think we have one project. That one project probably won't get funded until 2017.
5 years.
2017, 2018. So for 5 years, we're going to pay into this with no guarantee that anything's going to come back at the end of 5 years if the economy gets worse. So we're going to be paying for something that we have no guarantee on, and all the while we're going to be paying for it and getting back 25 cents on the dollar.
If their projections are right, which, who's to say, GDOT, they're, like I said, you can't, I found, and I've been in it a long time like you did, you the GDOT, they like to tell you kind of what you want to hear, especially when there's a lot on the table, which they are right now, for them. This is their way out, this is their big ace in the hole, call it what you want, regardless of what they tell you. The thing about it is, if the numbers are real that's actually predict, which hopefully it is, we get our 25%. We're looking at close to $800,000 a year back in Dade County. That'd be great. Now, if not, it's not. I mean, we could be, but it would be. You were in office in our ward. We'd average get maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles a year of paving, which is nothing.
Well, from the studies I've seen, and by some independent people who don't have an axe to grind except that they're against higher taxes, we'll be a donor county. The counties with most of the big projects are going to be recipient counties. In addition, we're in with, 5 or 6 other counties up here? Dade County could vote 100% no on this.
15 counties.
And the other counties could vote yes on it, right, and we could still end up with the tax. So what do we do about local control here? What happened to local control? And you're giving up, by promoting this, you're giving up home rule.
You're talking about local control
I'm talking about home rule, which is specified in the Georgia Constitution.
That's what 90% of the people in the region, our regional commissioners, did not like about it.
Then why are y'all promoting it then?
Here's exactly what the state said when they came up, and they said there would be no changes whatsoever. The governor and the legislature said there's no amendments. There will be no, this is the bad part. I mean, there's no proxies. Like if, just say that somehow, even if I'm sick, even if the mayor's sick, they will not let, and you have a vote that day, in that round table, say pertaining to whatever. If it's Fanning Kenwood, they will not allow any proxies.
Well, then why do y'all think this is a good idea to do this then? Why is this a good idea?
The reason being is if it does pass, it'll be one of the best things ever happened.
When has the government been right lately?
Well, the county government, I.
No, I'm talking about the state.
I don't know about the federal, state, you
When-
talk all you want, but you come up here, we'll sit down and have a talk about county government any
No,
day.
no, I'm not talking about the county, I'm talking about the state. When have they been right lately?
Well,
They haven't, that's the point. I mean, it's in their interest to paint these rosy pictures of all this tax collected. And now, right now, I'm betting, and I don't know this, I haven't looked at the figures, I'm betting sales tax revenues are up, right?
well,
A little
until
bit?
this past month.
Yeah, they dropped.
Until this past month.
You know why that is,
It
right?
fluctuates.
When gasoline doubles, the tax on gasoline doubles. And so that's why it goes up. It's not because people have more money or people are traveling more or people have more money to spend. It's because the dollar is worth less and the tax on what you're buying is higher. So I just don't understand why y'all think this is a good idea, because there's a lot more negatives to this than positives.
Well, you go.
I would much rather see you fund the road department by cutting out some of this unnecessary stuff that we're still funding the county.
Like what?
Like Jeff Mullis.
What are you talking
Joint
about?
development.
Yeah.
Joint development, what are we still paying them?
Was he not over there when you were working?
He was.
Why
But
didn't you cut that?
that's because we didn't need the money that bad then. We started cutting things we could cut. But why are we still paying Northwest Georgia Joint Development that, as far as I can tell, hadn't done a thing for us? But we keep paying them year after year. Is it on the hope that
Well,
it's going to do
that's on the
something?
burner to cut out, really. Yeah.
Okay.
I never
But-
really understand why they put him on there anyway.
But anyway,
Because-
my point is, if you think this is not a great idea, why are y'all promoting it so big? Because we're going to lose on this. We'll end up being a donor county. We're cut off from the rest of the state
How can
anyway.
we be
They
a
better
donor
know we're
county?
here. Because
You mean money-wise?
they're going to take the money that we're paying in and do projects everywhere else with it, and then they're going to run out of money because the economy's going to drop.
That could happen, we could,
Yes.
welfare, Medicare and all that could be, going to, but that's something you've got to look at. You got to really look at the big picture.
Yeah.
And you hope the figures are right, if it passes, it passes. It's going to be up to the voters of the people.
Yeah. Well, again, it's not going to be up to the voters of Dade County because we're so small that if the rest of the county is going to be getting all these big road projects out of it, if they want it and we don't, we're going to pay it anyway.
Well, we'll see after the election. That's what going to vote's all about.
Yeah.
Any other questions concerning the county?
Yeah. Do you know a number for how much money is spent on sending people to mandate school a year, in a year's time? What's the average?
Well, I can tell you, if you come in, I'll tell you that. It comes out of Patrick's account, but I can, we keep up
Does
with that.
Patrick need to answer that?
Well, I doubt he knows exactly to the cent, he can give you
Well, an
a
estimate.
rough, where you go, Pat?
I'm right here. I don't know, but we will have to look at it. You're by the courthouse all the time, when you got concerns, stuff, that kind of stuff, just come up and see it.
Then we can, it's easy, we just think about, 30 seconds.
Well, is there a cutoff date on how many times a person can go? Before they pass?
That's a long question.
We do, there's an offer.
What is the contract you got? This is something, as far
Did you
as.
say two
We send
times?
it. Do what?
He said 2 times?
Yes, I did. I've never seen nobody over 2 times.
Well, did they pay the wrong way after that, if they keep going?
It's already paid for.
What do you mean it's already paid for?
We've already paid for it. And then we send them
No,
out.
I'm saying if they don't pass, what's the cutoff line on sending them back? How many times you gonna pay $3,500 to send them?
Pay one time.
What he's saying is, they'll let, like if you actually fail or fail in class or two, I think
They'll let you come back.
they'll let you come back. I don't know how many times, but I don't know why.
Well,
Does the county only pay for it once? So if they go 4 times, they pay for it themselves?
I'm not saying that. There's things like in your daily job, you may be down and come off the floor all the time. Well, these guys may have something going on that, at home, like for me, for instance, I have a 10-year-old son that's diabetic, and we've been struggling with him being up and down. He's got grandsons.
I do.
And, things happen where they may be shooting or firearms and distracted, So So they may not pass the course the first time. So, I mean, we said, when we require them to go, we let them, they have to qualify with their firearms at least 3 times. And that's pretty much everybody that's failed this firearm. We just had one graduate here recently, the first one in Dade County. We got the, academic. So, we try to have good quality trained people. And you know, provide security and safety for our county. So I don't know what you're trying to, I mean, I hope I answered your question.
Well,
So much that you failed a test down here and took 3 weeks.
I did. You sure did.
You have to go back to class?
I did.
Who pays for your gas down there,
Did what?
buddy? Who pays for your gas down there, buddy?
Taxpayers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I failed.
You
Sure
already
did.
studied that.
You know what happened in
You
that
already studied that
class?
book, you're gonna have to go back the second time.
Hey, you know what? See, you don't have to say stuff like that.
Yeah, I already say it. I already say it. I tell you when I already say
This
it.
is
You get up here and lie to us, Patrick. You told us 7, 8 years ago, you're handing the same old stuff to us over and over and over.
And you read around the same way.
Hey, I pay taxes here same as everybody
I
does.
know, I know.
Let's finish the roads and then y'all think, y'all, Patrick.
Who we gonna vote for?
Do what?
Who we gonna vote for?
For what?
You said let's finish the voting, didn't you?
Roads, not roads. I got a body pain here, you don't plan that way. You know, we got, summer coming up, we got quite a bit of paving we hope to do this summer. If everything goes smooth, we got quite a bit of tar and gravel, and hopefully we can put some paving. We got a couple roads in this end of the county. We got 2 on our walk that we did at the south end, north end, just like it. Is there any question, anything, any complaints?
Steve, sure you see if you get something done over on Highway 11. There's the area code, or, right at the bottom where the grass got out of hand last year.
Yeah.
So like I say, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Pull out them little cars, can't see stuff coming north and south on that road.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about it. When I talked to you last year,
Last year it got out.
the state, up until last year, and this goes back, talking about the state, but, they were just frankly penalizing anybody that got out and tried to, even the county, if you got out and tried to help them and did anything on the state right away.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're gonna start going the right away, but I'm dangerous, seriously, like if you call me,
Yeah.
we got a right to go over and cut that now, there's nothing they really can, there's nothing they really do about anyone that says it's right. Because tax money,
Yeah.
But before that, even on the roads, if we scrape the road back when I was commuting before,
Yeah.
it wasn't uncommon to get a call and say, look, we'll handle that or whatever. Now, of course, they give you, they want the help.
Yeah.
But our priority is the county. We can't, when I get a lot of calls on state roads, that just happened in the wintertime, because we got our county roads clean, and we don't the state.
Yeah.
Now, at least when we'll go down, a building's gonna at least drop the plow and make one run, get it to a county road.
Yeah.
But
Break it
believe it or not, before,